Hello, I'm Craig Brailsford, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with executives of two public companies. First up is American Resources Corp, a next-generation, environmentally and socially responsible supplier of high-quality raw materials to the new infrastructure market. The company is focused on the extraction and processing of metallurgical carbon, an essential ingredient used in steelmaking, critical and rare earth minerals for the electrification market, and reprocessed metal to be recycled. American Resources has a growing portfolio of operations located in the Central Appalachian Basin of eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia, where premium quality metallurgical carbon and rare earth mineral deposits are concentrated. American Resources has established a nimble, low-cost business model centered on growth, which provides a significant opportunity to scale its portfolio of assets to meet the growing global infrastructure and electrification markets, while also continuing to acquire operations and significantly reduce their legacy industry risks. Its streamlined and efficient operations are able to maximize margins while reducing costs. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Up next is Soligenix, a late-stage biopharmaceutical company showcasing a strong portfolio with several products in advanced clinical stages. It is targeting a potential $2 billion in annual global sales. Notable among these is Hybrite, a photodynamic therapy for cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, a rare chronic cancer, which has demonstrated positive results in a phase 3 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Dermatology. The company is gearing up for a follow-up confirmatory phase 3 study with Hybrite's market potential estimated at $250 million. Additional promising assets include SGX 302, aimed at treating psoriasis, currently in a phase 2A trial with a market potential exceeding $1 billion, and SGX 945 for Behçet's disease, with a phase 2A set to begin later this year. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Now, before we get to the first interview, our quote of the week. It comes from the book Small Stocks, Big Money. Invest in something you can get your arms around and be very conservative. Own enough stocks so that you are not putting all your eggs in one basket. This quote comes from Dave Maley, fund manager of Ariel Discovery Fund, and it is featured in Chapter 5 of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our first interview today with American Resources Corp. We are here today with Mark Jensen, CEO of American Resources Corporation. American Resources is one of the nation's fastest growing ESG-focused producers and processors of infrastructure and critical resource materials needed to build our nation's 21st century infrastructure. Mark, always a pleasure to see you here.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having us on.
My pleasure. Could you start by giving us an overview of American Resources Corporation and its primary business segments?
Absolutely. So American Resource Corporation, a company that the management team founded in 2015, we are focused on three core aspects. One is our mining division, which is producing infrastructure-related products for the steel industry. We have a ReElement Technologies, which is really probably one of the most exciting aspects of our business, which is a critical mineral refinery. We're the only producers of rare earth elements and battery materials such as lithium at battery and magnet grade, as well as our American Metals division, which pre-processes metal and recycles steel and recycles those critical mineral elements.
Mark, that recent earnings report highlighted several milestones, including the successful execution of a $150 million tax-exempt bond offering for your Kentucky lithium refining facility. Can you tell us more about this achievement and what it means for your company?
Yeah, super exciting development for our business. Ultimately, what we're focused on is building out our critical mineral refining capability. So what we're really excited about is in Knott County, Kentucky, coal country. We're repurposing a prior coal processing plant to be a lithium processing plant. So obviously removing the infrastructure that's there, but utilizing most of that infrastructure. And more importantly, tapping into the heart and the strength of that region, which is its people, its workforce. So turning coal country into battery manufacturing specialist, and we're super excited about bringing in this non-dilutive capital to expand our company.
And you know, that coal country is a part of our country that really needs some attention, so congratulations on that, Mark. You know, American Resources, Mark, it's been positioning itself, as you said, within the rare earth and critical elements market. Now, how has your patented chromatographic separation and purification process contributed to your success?
It's been a game changer. So we are the only producer in the United States that can refine lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements to magnet or battery grade. Nobody else can do this. We're scaling it commercially. We have a 400,000 square foot facility in Marion, Indiana that we're developing our rare earth oxide production plant at. We're operating out of Noblesville, Indiana. But when it comes to rare earth elements, those are desperately needed for our military, for our Department of Defense, as well as our commercial applications. And we can provide those products to basically be able to break away from China and the monopoly that they control over our military and national defense systems.
Mark, ReElement Technologies has entered into several partnerships, including with major U.S. auto manufacturers and EDP Renewables North America. How do these partnerships support your vision of a sustainable and circular supply chain for critical minerals?
Yeah, I mean, EDP is a great partner. Our OEM, our automotive manufacturer out of Detroit, is a phenomenal partner as well. What they were looking for is the ability to create the true sustainable circular economy. And so we can take their end-of-life magnets that have rare earth elements in them, we can bring those back to new magnet grade materials. So producing those rare earth oxides, they're really the feedstock that enables us to scale our business rapidly. And we're also the supply chain partner to them to ensure that they have products in the future that don't have to come from China.
You recently announced a joint development agreement to commercialize a lithium deposit in Nigeria. What can you tell us about that project?
Yeah, in Kaduna State, I've been to the mine. It is by far one of the largest mines I've ever seen in my life. And on my 20-year mining career, commodity career, I've never seen anything as vast as that. Our partners are very, very talented people that understand the local operating environment, and the ability to source that type of feedstock. It will enable us to well over quadruple the current capacity of the United States lithium market, as well as be able to unlock the potential of the African community, one of the fastest growing populations in the world. We can put them to work. We can enable them to be successful to create a manufacturing society within Africa, within the continent, to unlock the human potential there.
Looking ahead, Mark, to the remainder of 2024 and beyond, what are some of the key catalysts and growth drivers that investors should get excited about?
Yeah, our country today is desperately needing the ability to produce rare earth oxides from ores, which is from the mining community, as well as from the recycle community. We do that. We're excited to continue to scale that. Marion, Indiana, the facility we have used to be the largest TV manufacturer in the world, closed down because that business went to Asia. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back to the heartland of America to unlock the ability to create jobs, but also to make us sustainable in the United States, to not have to rely upon China for our military defense systems. We believe that's an absolute game changer. The ability to drive revenue growth rapidly and use non-dilutive accretive capital, such as tax-exempt bonds and industrial revenue bonds, to be able to do that. We're super excited about where we're going with that front.
All right, let us go now with the essential value proposition, Mark. Why should investors take an interest in American Resources right now?
Yeah, we're led by a team that is 100% aligned with our investors. We're not going to dilute those investors. We're going to use a really attractive capital base to be able to do that. But most importantly, the products that we need have huge growth drivers. You look at the electrified economy, you look at energy storage markets, and the ability for our military, which are now required to buy US-based products. We're the only ones in the country that can do it. Ultimately, our growth potential is significant. We've proven we've been able to tap into those non-dilutive capital with $150 million in Kentucky. We're also doing that same thing in Marion, Indiana. So we're not out there raising equity capital. We're protecting our equity capital. And we're driving that growth, utilizing those non-dilutive capital strategies to bring shareholder value to our investors.
Mark, thanks for the update. Always great to hear it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Now, to get more information on American Resources Corp, visit arecinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like American Resources Corp. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's move on to our next interview today with Soligenix. Hi, today we have Chris Shaber, CEO of Soligenix, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker SNGX. Chris, welcome back.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you for having me.
Chris, start please by giving our viewers a brief overview of Soligenix. And I want to know the key areas of rare diseases and unmet medical needs you're addressing.
Of course, so Soligenix is a late clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on developing and commercializing products to treat rare diseases and unmet medical needs. I think what makes our company unique is that we have a two-segment business. We have a specialized biotherapeutic segment focused in small molecules and oncology and inflammation, and a separate public health solutions business segment that's been funded entirely by the U.S. government to date, in excess of $60 million of non-dilutive funding. And that funding's allowed us to advance predominantly heat-stable vaccines for emerging infectious disease and bioterrorist threats.
Explain for us, Chris, Soligenix's business model. How does the company plan to generate revenue from its specialized biotherapeutics and also from its public health solution segments?
So as you would imagine, with the specialized biotherapeutics in the small molecule space, we're focused on commercializing there. There are a number of areas like cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, which I'm sure we'll be speaking about shortly, which is highly specialized, small commercial unit to really move that forward effectively in the United States. So there we focus on potentially building that ourselves, but also remain opportunistic with the potential for partnership. And we're very active on that front and in a number of discussions, which could ultimately lend itself to a commercial partner in some of these areas as well. For the public health solution side, as you would imagine, you have one customer being governments, U.S. or world government. So pretty direct commercialization pattern there, as you would imagine. So here, what we'll do is the main goal is procurement contract and stockpiling. However, we also have the opportunity for receiving what's known as priority review vouchers. Those not familiar with these vouchers, if you're fortunate enough to get your heat-stable vaccine in a certain emerging infectious disease or biothreat over the finish line with the FDA and approved, they award you these vouchers, and these vouchers are transferable. So you could sell one to a big pharma company with a blockbuster looking to accelerate their regulatory review. These vouchers sell for quite a bit of money. The last voucher sold for about $100 million. So in our pipeline, especially in the public health, we have the potential for up to 3 of these priority review vouchers. So that's a nice added feature of value creation with our business.
Chris, it is amazing how many facets Soligenix really has, as you have just so capably explained. Now let's turn to Highbright. You have announced positive phase 3 results for Highbright in, of course, cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. Tell us more about that therapy and its significance for your business strategy.
So Highbright is our lead asset for the treatment of early stage cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, or CTCL. For those not familiar with the disease, it's a rare form of non-Hodgkin lymphoma affecting about 30,000 people in the U.S., a little bit more in Europe. It's a chronic and incurable cancer of the skin, which patients develop patches, plaques, its most severe form, tumors or lesions. So, very severe in its as you progress. Highbright's a topical therapy You apply the cancerous lesions, you activate it with safe, visible fluorescent LED light to shrink those lesions. It's not a cure, so we look to manage the disease with the goal of keeping it in its early stages, which is very important. As you noted, we did have a positive phase 3 study, and we are now moving towards a second phase 3. We also had some recent ancillary or supportive studies that have come out that have also been very compelling, have continued to build on that positive momentum of the phase 3. So that work will continue. However, we are initiating a second confirmatory phase 3 study to replicate our prior results across those studies. That study is set to begin before the end of this year, with top-line results in 2026. I will note, however, that we will be providing enrollment updates in 2025. So I hope to be able to move up some of that guidance, and we can get to data a little bit sooner there. Following successful completion, our goal is to file marketing applications worldwide for approval.
Very exciting, Chris. We wish you all the best on that confirmatory study. Earlier, you talked about government a little bit. I want you to delve into that a little bit more. I want to know really more about your leveraging those collaborations that you have with the government, as well as biotech and academia, to advance this great public health pipeline, and of course, in particular, your vaccine programs.
Well, just be clear, Craig, we're active across our entire pipeline, looking at all strategic options. That not only includes public health, but the specialized biotherapeutics and hybrid. As you would imagine, given the later stage of our pipeline, we are currently in a number of discussions of the potential to range from regional partnership of a particular program to merger and acquisition. Obviously, there could be no promises on the successful outcome of these discussions. Time will tell, but again, we remain active. As it relates specifically to the public health and heat-stable vaccine programs, your initial question, we've been fortunate enough to have received in excess of $60 million of non-dilutive government funding to date for this business segment, and are continually pursuing additional grants and contracts to fund and advance these programs, which takes time. As we move development in lockstep with that funding, it's a critical component of our public health solutions business model. It also helps that we have good vaccines that demonstrate up to 100% protection. So we're hopeful that there is more non-dilutive government funding in our future to help fuel those programs forward.
Chris, investors have many choices out there, as we all know. What sets Soligenix apart from those other biopharmaceutical companies that are also focusing on rare diseases and unmet medical needs in the areas of oncology and inflammation?
Now, first and foremost, we have a lead product candidate in hybrid that has never failed a clinical trial. The entire program to date has been positive, and we have a clear understanding of how this drug works and are highly confident in the upcoming confirmatory phase 3 trial as we're looking to replicate prior results. It also helps that this therapy is topical with a very direct response. You would treat the skin, you see the lesion shrink. We are also taking the active ingredient in hybrid with similar light activation and treating psoriasis, a much larger indication, and have demonstrated positive results there in a phase 2A study, and we'll expect top-line results there in the first half of 2025. And last but not least, we have another molecule called dusquatide, a new chemical entity, which modulates the body's innate immune system to fight disease. The biologic activity of this product candidate has also been demonstrated in clinical trials. And here we have a small phase 2A study set to begin a little bit later this year with top-line results in early 2025. So a number of data readouts coming and a lot of clinical activity.
Now, Chris, our final question, the essential value proposition. There's a lot of companies out there, as you just said. Why should investors take an interest in Soligenix right now?
There are a number of potential reasons investors should be excited about Soligenix. We have a more de-risked late-stage clinical pipeline than most companies our size and market cap, with a lead asset in hybrid moving towards a confirmatory phase 3 replication study in a rare chronic disease. We have multiple phase 2 clinical trials behind the phase 3 study, with assets that previously demonstrated their biologic activity in clinical setting. We have multiple value drivers and milestones over the next 6 to 12 months and beyond that we anticipate will continue to build value and momentum. We have the potential for continued non-dilutive government funding and or partnership as we remain very active on these fronts, looking at all strategic options. And we have an experienced and dedicated management team, board, medical advisors, and clinical investigators with a track record for successfully advancing drug therapies.
Soligenix has a really great story, Chris. Thank you for telling it to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, to get more information on Soligenix, visit SNGXinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can order Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book written by RedChip CEO featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon for $18. Now, let's recap the companies featured today. First, you met American Resources Corp, AREC, on the NASDAQ. American Resources Corp is a next-generation, environmentally and socially responsible supplier of high-quality raw materials to the new infrastructure market. The company is focused on the extraction and processing of metallurgical carbon, an essential ingredient used in steel making, critical and rare earth minerals for the electrification market, and reprocessed metal to be recycled. American Resources has a growing portfolio of operations located in the Central Appalachian Basin of eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia, where premium quality metallurgical carbon and rare earth mineral deposits are concentrated. American Resources has established a nimble, low-cost business model centered on growth, which provides a significant opportunity to scale its portfolio of assets to meet the growing global infrastructure and electrification markets, while also continuing to acquire operations and significantly reduce their legacy industry risks. Its streamlined and efficient operations are able to maximize margins while reducing costs. Learn more at www.arecinfo.com. Then you met Soligenix, stock symbol SNGX, on the NASDAQ. Soligenix is a late-stage biopharmaceutical company showcasing a strong portfolio with several products in advanced clinical stages, and it is targeting potentially $2 billion in annual global sales. Notable among these is Hybrite, a photodynamic therapy for cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, or CTCL, a rare chronic cancer which has demonstrated positive results in a phase 3 study published in JAMA Dermatology. The company is gearing up for a follow-up confirmatory phase 3 study with Hybrite's market potential estimated at $250 million. Additional promising assets include SGX 302, aimed at treating psoriasis, currently in a phase 2A trial with a market potential exceeding $1 billion, and SGX 945 for Behçet's disease, with a phase 2A set to begin later this year. Learn more at www.sngxinfo.com. Now, don't forget to check out our stocks page. It is the biggest small cap stock portal in the industry. It has every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and less. And it's categorized by industries. And watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel, and be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small cap companies. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies, so please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new, exciting emerging growth companies.
Meet Soligenix, a NASDAQ company, symbol SNGX, now advancing a Phase 3 pivotal clinical trial with Highbright for patients with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, a rare and chronic cancer where abnormal T-cells attack the skin. In its first Phase 3 trial, showed statistical significance in its primary endpoint, working with leading scientists at Stanford University of Pennsylvania, MD Anderson, and the Mayo Clinic, and potentially de-risk path to regulatory approvals worldwide. Soligenix, SNGX,